Hello and welcome everyone. Thanks for taking the time to peep our new exciting app. My name is Giovanni Carter and I will be presenting our app Jargon with you all today. Jargon is a vocabulary app that will teach you how to slang like an industry pro. Many industries have complicated jargon these days and can sometimes sound like they just made up a whole new language. It's a new world out there with all these acronyms and all these slang words, but Jargon will help bridge that gap with a fun, efficient, and effective learning interface. So with that said, I'm going to take you through a quick story of the process we took to create Jargon. Let's start off with our protagonist, our typical user of Jargon. Meet Parker Beller. Now, if there's one thing we know right away here, it's that Parker needs to update his LinkedIn photo. I mean, he looks like he sells Dell computers in the 1980s. Let's all hope Parker has better photos on his dating apps. Alright, but let's not judge a book by its cover here. Parker unfortunately has a very common story in this crazy year that we have come to know as 2020. After college, Parker bounced around from sales job to sales job with big-time corporations. He always seemed to hit that glass ceiling, as they say, and could never further his career. Then, the COVID-19 pandemic hit, resulting in a loss of his job. He was furloughed and put on unemployment with an unknown date of return. But Parker was smart and decided to take advantage of this time by going back to school and getting his Level 1 CFA certificate. This certificate would greatly advance his career and salary. But this is no walk in the park for Parker. This is one of the hardest tests to pass out there. The material is 6 large textbooks and can take anywhere from 6 to 9 months just to study. And that's if you pass the first time. So Parker started studying in March of this year and is currently on book 4 with a test date scheduled for December 2020. So what's Parker's main issue here? Well, he needs to learn a large amount of vocabulary in a short amount of time. Picture 6 large textbooks about the size of dictionaries. And inside these books are terms that are both complicated and closely named, making them really hard to remember. As you can see by the 3 examples I have here, cash ratio versus quick ratio versus current ratio. These are very closely named and they have very complicated definitions. So Parker has some challenges here. This industry uses a different jargon that can almost feel like a new language. This makes him feel very unmotivated to study. Parker is also a reader learner, so his only method of studying is just reading textbooks at this point. He's not retaining the information. There's also no practice tests available, so he never knows his progress compared to other people taking the same exam. Well, that's where we can come in. How can we help? We believe that by creating a user-friendly interface with features that include outside definitions, real-life application examples, and practice quiz games, we will help Parker achieve better retention and efficient study practices to help him succeed in passing the CFA exam. So let's get to the nitty-gritty of Jargon. Here you will see some early wireframing that we did. Through research and user interviews, we came to 2 key tasks that we needed for our app, for our users. We needed to add new words, and we needed to test on those words. So here you'll say 2 tasks, add a new word, take a practice test. This shows the flow the user would have to go to do each of those tasks. This leads us to some early prototypes that we did for this app. The key here was to make this as simple and straightforward as possible, as studying is already very time consuming. For add a new word task, you will see when you turn on the app, you will be prompted with a login screen. You will then sign up, either your email or social media. You will then type in your user info. You will then be prompted to select a course, whether it's a new language or you're studying something. You will then be brought to your course homepage, which here you can see your course, your progress, and you can choose from study tools, adding new words, and practice tests. In this case, we're adding a new word. You'd be brought to the new word screen where you can select from a preloaded definition of words. If you cannot find it there, you'll be able to add a new word where you can type in your own definition, your own words, and any other notes you like. The course homepage here you see, and the select course screens, which we will mention later, we ultimately felt was an extra step after user testing. Here you'll see practice test task, same start where you'll get to the course homepage. Here you would select practice test, which would bring you to the practice test options. Here you'd be able to choose how many chapters you'd like to study. You'd also be able to choose type of testing, whether it's multiple choice, whether it's true false. You would then be brought to the test page where you would test like normal. and finally bring you to the results page where you would get your score, you would be able to see your wrong answers, and you'd be able to test again if you like. So let's test these out in real life. This brings us to user tests, and we did these in person. And I want to stress here that this was the most pivotal part of the process for us. After testing our app and interviewing 3 separate users, we had that light bulb moment where we realized what we needed to do. We began to clearly see what the real need of our users really was. Let's meet our users. Here we have Daniela, Kelly, and Parker. All 3 are studying for a different type of vocabulary. Daniela is from Colombia. She understands English very well, but has trouble with American slang words. Kelly has a nursing degree and recently transitioned to medical sales, where she needs to learn a whole new type of medical vocabulary, and she's also studying French. And of course we got our main man Parker, and look, he's already looking better. There's that James Dean dating app photo we all knew existed. Alright, you'll see the 4 tasks on the left. We got sign up, add a word, add a new word, and take a practice test. You can see from the right we had some basic feedback issues. We had trouble distinguishing between buttons, specifically adding a word and manually adding a word. We had some issues with practice tests, being able to see your answers right away, whether you got them wrong or right and why. We also see, as I mentioned earlier, the chapters concept and the course homepage. Are those really necessary? Well, we took that feedback to heart and we made some big feature updates. We added some basic back buttons. We added a way to distinguish between selecting a word in our system or adding a new word manually. We also added prompts to let you know you have added a word successfully. And we updated our features for our practice test function, adding answers after each questions and comparing results to others taking the same tests. We even added a whole new screen where you can see if the answer was correct, not correct, and why. But what's next for Jargon? Is this really where we want it? Even though these functions and these features worked and were seen as value to our users, we knew something key was missing. It was the fun factor. We reevaluated and really listened to our users. We came to the conclusion that we needed to trim the fat and create an exciting and fun way to search and learn words easier. We retested without the chapters and the course homepages and also incorporated some current technology. We thought, what if we just took the 2 main tasks, add a word and practice test, and just designed around those? This is when we came to a pivot moment and Jargon really came to life. How about just combining the fun of Urban Dictionary with the flow of Shazam? If you are not familiar with either of these apps, Shazam allows one to hold your phone to a song and it will tell you the title and artist of that song. And Urban Dictionary is an outdated website where you can search words and slang terms and see common definitions for them, as well as upload your own content. If we combine these 2 concepts into a vocabulary theme, added fun study games, added practice tests, it was a win-win. Now you have an app that is user-friendly, fun, efficient, but most importantly, effective. And voila, introducing the new Jargon prototype. Look at it, looks all nice, looks appetizing. As you can see, it feels very user-friendly, it looks fun, it looks familiar. This gets me in the study mode. So let's take a deeper look. Now note, some of the basic features you saw in our earlier prototypes, like the sign-in page, the practice test page, and the add words page, those are all still there, and they'll all be features, but for time constraints, we have not rendered those sketches here. So on the first screen, you'll see our splash screen. We got our logo, we got our catchphrase, looks great. Next, you would initially be able to sign up, but if you already have an account, you would be directed right to our homepage, which you see as the second screen here. Here you can tap and hold the Jargon button and say a word or phrase you want to learn. The app would then auto-populate to the definition page, which you'll see on the third, and it would give you a top-rated definition, the industry used, and the optional slang terms or phrases. You can now add these words to your library and keep them well organized by either an industry or a custom category of your choosing, depending on what you're studying. You'd be able to check alternate websites for alternate definitions with the quick click logos like you see from Google, Wikipedia, and Urban Dictionary. And finally, on the third screen, you'd be able to play word games. And study these words better. Once you have all your words of your choosing in your library, you can start studying with various word games and practice tests. Here you can choose from popular games and also the same practice test features you saw in our earlier prototypes. In the future, we would like to include a sense of community. If you look at the second screen, you can see the red profile icon on the top left. Here you would be able to create your own profile and upload your own words or slang to be rated by other users. You can also play games versus other users. And then on the third screen, you will see a rating system where here you can rate words and definitions from the community, as well as upload your own and have them rated by the community. And there you have it, the new and improved jargon. What a great concept. But wait, what about our guy Parker? What does he think? Does he find it useful? Luckily, the answer is yes. Let's see what he has to say. It's user-friendly, and I can add words with ease on the fly as I read textbooks. I feel motivated to study as I know I can easily refer to words later in my library. The study games are fun, they're effective, I retain words and definitions better, I feel a sense of community and I can see my progress compared to others taking the same test. This really is a fun way to learn words and industry slang without wasting my valuable study time. Well, that's great. Sounds like Parker's going to pass a test, he's going to get a promotion, and okay, I love that song. But what did we learn here? We helped Parker, but what did this do for us? Ultimately, we learned that every step in the process to conceptualizing an app, or conceptualizing anything for that matter, every process, every step is important as the next. In interviews of personas, we learned that understanding a variety of user backgrounds, goals, and motivations was very important in putting together a concept for the app. Each user had their own perspective, but determining the common goal between them all was the real key. In wireframing and prototyping, we learned that a concept might sound great when spoken, but when you put it on paper, it's much more complicated. Understanding the full process a user must go through to reach a common goal helped us really define what a user-friendly really meant. And then in user testing, we understood here that users' issues and compliments in real time ultimately lead to big pivot in creating both an effective and efficient product overall. Spending time with users in person was pivotal in understanding the true goal of our app, which was learn vocabulary in an effective, efficient, and enjoyable way, while also feeling like you're part of a community. So in conclusion, creating an app is a lot like perfecting a good joke. You have to know your audience. A comedian will test his joke hundreds of times with small audiences around the globe, slightly tweaking it each time depending on the laugh he gets, until he comes to that place where no matter where he goes or who he tells the joke to, everyone laughs in unison. And an app is no different. It takes time, it takes research, but if you've done correctly, you can make a lot of people happy. Thanks for your time, everyone. We hope you enjoyed the jargon journey, and we hope that you download.